I released a light reference app and was able to get it monetized through Google Ads. So I figured I would go through and show the ad revenue I've gotten since the beginning of October up until today, where it is December 9th. As somebody without a following, I feel like this is a good representation of organic growth, and I'll go through some of the strategies that I used in order to get the following that I currently have. Last month, I did release a video on how I created it, which I'm sure you watched. You watched it, right? No. nobody nobody watched that. Look at this shit. Nobody watched. Nobody watched. But first, I want to go through the additions I made to that application that wasn't included in my last video. So let's do that now.
So just as a refresher, Light Reference is a tool I built where you can move 3D objects around in a 3D space and modify the values of the lighting. Now this is marketed as a 3D light reference tool. So in order to show up in more various search results, I built a 2D version of the tool. You can simply upload an image, analyze, and it will automatically cast shadows onto the 2D image. My hope is that this version of the tool will bring in more users from various search queries from Google. Right now, I've seen that my traffic from other search engines like Bing, DuckDuckGo, Yahoo, nowhere near as good as how many people are showing up from Google. I mean, that's kind of expected. But you can cast these types of shadows. I have a few other options, as well as a 2D drop shadow. You can move the light source just like you can in the 3D version of the app. This shade only will remove a lot of the image itself just so that you can see just the shadows. I also wanted to go through a few of the methods I used to get more web traffic, once again for somebody who doesn't have a large online following. The first thing I went for were quality backlinks. I wrote blog posts for all of my current live applications, as well as created an itch.io page. The itch page went live closer to the beginning of November, and I'm finding that the itch page is actually outperforming me on Bing and DuckDuckGo specifically. But I have also found that itch has been a decent source of referrals to the website, so it is acting accordingly as a funnel to the app itself. I also wanted to show the monetized analytics from the past few months. I got monetized at the end of September, so just going through October 1st. When I looked at this report going into November, the first thing that stood out to me was the average engagement time. I did push a couple of updates throughout the month of October, trying to boost this number up. I ended up with 31 seconds within an event count of 2.9 thousand. After pushing out a good amount of updates, November did look much better. I got about 13 additional seconds of average engagement time and almost doubled the event counter, while gaining about an additional 100 or so active users. But lastly, I did want to go through this month's numbers thus far. We're about a third of the way through the month, and I am currently at 1.5k on the event count. The average engagement time did go down a little bit. However, now that I just pushed an update to that 2D light reference tool, making it a little bit more user-friendly, I'm hoping to get a better engagement time on that page specifically. So October was pretty rough, especially at the beginning. I saw a steep decline. I found out that there was a major bug at the beginning of October where most users couldn't even use the tool on certain browsers. I believe it was the Firefox and Safari browsers. But after fixing that, I saw a major uptick as well as various SEO updates. There was a pretty big nosedive on this Sunday. Sundays are typically pretty bad anyways. I submitted 2 major SEO updates in the month of November. It was actually right about here. So after each SEO update, with the exception of a couple, is where most of these nosedives occur anyway. But once again, picks right back up, which is why I like to space it out every 2 weeks or so, as opposed to just jumping right in. What I typically like to do is go from my time window. I like to look at what's getting the most impressions as opposed to the clicks first. I'm seeing that my fourth one is a 3D light referencing tool, and it actually has a pretty good CTR on that query in particular, which is why I wanted to lean so heavily into the 2D light reference tool as well. So I'm going to see how that does within the next 2 weeks. Once again, hopefully I'll get more of that. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. The total amount of earned revenue since monetization was $1.56. Now you may be asking yourself, why broadcast this to the entire world? I wanted to put a bit of honesty into this space when it comes to what you can expect building a free application without having an audience already curated to consume the products you put out there. I do want to be optimistic though. Next, I'm going to go through month to month how the monthly revenue has grown since getting monetized in October. Based on the trends, I do believe that this could become profitable if my user base continues to grow. It may be in 3 months, it may be in 3 years. So this was October's numbers. I made 36 cents in total for 352 page views, giving me a page RPM of $1.02, with most of that traffic and revenue actually coming from the United States at a whopping 16 cents. So just about half of all the money came from the United States. Going to last month, I got 444 page views, earning me 84 cents for a page RPM of $1.09. Once again, mostly coming from the United States. Page RPM for the US was pretty massive for the month of November. One major thing that I wanted to point out on this month in particular is that at some point, I want to say it was the first week right before I did an SEO update. I did modify how the ads were displaying on the website. I used the site myself to find any pain points. What I found was using auto ads didn't work how I would want them to. The ads that you would see at the bottom would take up like almost half of the page, and then they would have full screen pop-up ads, which I found irritating, so I assumed my users would also find that irritating. So I actually modified that in this first week, and afterwards what I found was that I ended up making more money in the long run. So that was a major hit. So I would suggest anybody trying to monetize their website, if you use auto ads, double check and see how they're actually showing. So then this month, once again, it's December 9th. This is how we're currently looking. I haven't had any major spikes like that 11 cent day. However, I'm consistently getting an average of about 3.
All in all, it's not a lot of money. Once again, not having a following, not having a lot of web traffic out the gate, Google Ads don't pay extravagantly. With that being said, thank you so much. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and give it a like. If you want to watch how I built that light reference tool, I'll actually put it up here this time. If you want to see more web development related content or enjoy watching how apps are created, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you have any ideas on how the app could be improved, go ahead and leave a comment. I've been updating this at least once a month. Anyways, thank you guys so much again for watching. Until next time.